Along the coast of Chile, near Santiago, November 11th, 2014, the airspace between Santiago and Valparaiso, a Chilean Navy helicopter, specifically an Airbus Cougar AS-532, flying a daytime patrol mission, captured a 9-minute infrared video of an unidentifiable object. Two experienced naval officers on board observed the object with the naked eye. They described it as a flat, elongated oval, moving parallel to them at about the same altitude and speed, estimating it to be 35 to 50 miles away. The helicopter's Westcam IR camera was zoomed in on the object, which was not visible in normal light but clearly showed up in infrared. During the recording, the object expelled two thick streams of hot material or gas that spread behind it in the sky. The object cruised along, then faded into the clouds. Throughout, the Chilean crew tried to communicate with air traffic control, to only find out that no other aircraft were reported in the area, and the UFO did not respond to any signals. What's interesting is not only did the Chilean government release this video to the public, the object in question was not visible to the naked eye at all from below. At Xiaoshan International Airport, Hangzhou, China, July 7th, 2010, about 8:40 p.m., an unidentified flying object disrupted the air traffic at the major Chinese airport. A flight crew on approach first spotted a bright object and alerted air traffic control, which also picked it up. Concerned about safety, airport officials halted all flights. Outgoing aircraft were grounded, and incoming flights were diverted to other airports, specifically airports at Ningbo and Wuxi, leading to delays for several dozen flights. Witnesses on the scene described the UFO as a glowing object with a comet-like tail or beam. One photo taken by a resident showed a bright white light streaking across the night sky over Hangzhou. The airport shutdown lasted approximately 1 hour, after which operations resumed when the object vanished. Chinese aviation authorities launched an investigation and kept details fairly secret. Initially, there was no public explanation. Chinese media speculated it could have been a secret military aircraft or missile test, perhaps a US spy plane, or even an extraterrestrial craft. Within a few days, some unnamed officials hinted the object had an explanation that couldn't be disclosed due to military connection, leading many to believe it was a Chinese military experimental craft. However, no official statement confirmed this. The only thing that was confirmed was that it wasn't a civilian aircraft. What's interesting here is that authorities had to close an entire airport for an extended amount of time. That, with confirmation that the object had military connections. There seem to be a few photos of this incident floating around, but they don't seem too consistent. What I included in the video seems to be the real deal though. Near the Rafael Hernandez Airport, Aguadilla, Northwest Puerto Rico, April 25th, 2013, just before dawn, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection DHC-8 surveillance plane on a routine border patrol mission detected a strange object at low altitude. The object had no navigation lights and was flying in controlled airspace, so the crew turned on their thermal/infrared cameras. They recorded a 3-minute FLIR video of an unidentified flying object circling the airport area. The UAP flew at about 80 miles per hour at low altitude and notably appeared to dive into the ocean and re-emerge during the footage. Even more bizarrely, at one point, the single object splits into two identical objects on the IR video, both continuing on before descending into the sea and not reappearing. Throughout the video, the objects emitted heat but show no wings or propulsion or exhaust. What's really interesting is the US government's response to this. This incident was not officially acknowledged until years later. The video was anonymously sent to SCU investigators who released a detailed report in 2015, calling it the Aguadilla UAP. In 2022, journalists and a former DHS agent confirmed such encounters were documented by Homeland Security. And finally, in 2023, the Pentagon's UAP office, AARO, reviewed the Aguadilla footage. AARO concluded it was high confident that was not anomalous, assessing that it was likely two thermal images of a pair of conventional objects, possibly balloons, moving together, with an optical illusion of splitting and of going underwater. They believe the objects never actually submerged, but just went out of view. This explanation, however, is disputed by the original analysts, and AARO has faced criticism from the SCU for not fully accounting for all data. The case got attention in science and UFO media as a rare, multi-domain, air/sea UAP recording. At Stephenville, Texas, and nearby areas, on January 8th, 2008, hundreds of residents in and around the small town, which is about 70 miles southwest of Fort Worth, witnessed an extremely large, mysterious object with bright lights in the sky around 6 to 7 p.m. Observers, including a pilot and a county constable, reported a massive object estimated to be around the size of a football field or larger, was flying low and fast. It had an array of flashing strobe-like lights, and at one point, hovered silently over the town before speeding away. Many also observed military fighter jets such as F-16s, apparently chasing or at least following the UFO at high speed. The object moved towards the direction of President George W. Bush's ranch in Crawford, Texas. Initially, the nearby Air Force Reserve Base, the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base Fort Worth, denied having any aircraft up that night. After media pressure, about 2 weeks later, the Air Force admitted an error and stated that 10 F-16s have been training in the area on the evening in question. This reversal fueled local suspicions of a cover-up. The Air Force's final stance was that residents simply misidentified their F-16s or FLIRs, but witnesses refute that, noting they clearly saw fighter jets chasing a much larger, silent object. What's really interesting here is that the US Naval Air Base denied, then switched their story up pretty fast, only in a span of 2 weeks. It's kind of hard believing their explanation that some error on their end resulted in the changed story. How do 10 F-16s go unaccounted for? Also, there are some fun conspiracies on why it flew towards George W. Bush's ranch, if any of you want to look into that after this video. Some of them are pretty funny. At the O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, November 7, 2006, specifically over Gate C-17 in the United Airlines terminal, around 4:15 p.m. CST, numerous United Airlines employees on the ramp and in airplanes spotted a metallic, disc-shaped object hovering silently just below the low cloud ceiling. At least 12 United personnel, different people such as pilots, mechanics, gate agents, managers, and so on, witnessed a gray, saucer-like craft. After several minutes, the object abruptly shot straight upward at a high velocity, punching a clear hole in the cloud layer before disappearing into the sky. The hole in the clouds lingered for a few minutes, confirming something solid had ascended through. No unusual flight was noted on radar, but the sighting was reported internally by a United supervisor. The FAA initially denied any knowledge of the incident. Only after persistent inquiry and the Chicago Tribune FOIA request did the FAA acknowledge that an airport supervisor had called the control tower about the UFO. The FAA ultimately attributed the sighting to a weather phenomenon and declined to investigate, since the object wasn't seen on radar. They suggested it might have been a rare hole punch cloud effect, though witnesses disagree. So far, there have been a common trend of UFOs being spotted by airports and air bases. This is technically our second to third one. Coincidence? Or do these planes just happen to have enough people and equipment to catch such things? What do you guys think? Leave a comment. For the final modern UFO incident, we go to the Atlantic Ocean, off the east coast of the US, between training areas from Virginia to Florida. Fighter pilots with the USS Theodore Roosevelt carrier strike group reported frequent encounters with unknown objects during training flights around the years 2014 and 15. According to Lieutenant Ryan Graves, every day for at least a couple years, his squadron detected UAPs in the restricted airspace off of Virginia. The UFOs were often described as spherical objects inside clear cubes or other oddly shaped craft. In one 2015 incident, aircrew captured the famous GIMBAL and GOFAST infrared videos, showing a fleet of unknown craft with no wings or exhaust flying against high winds. Pilots noted the objects could hover at 30,000 feet or zip at hypersonic speeds and change direction rapidly, far beyond conventional jets or drones. The Navy took these reports seriously, later updating protocol in 2019 for pilots to report UAPs going forward. The incidents were investigated under ATIP and successor programs. In 2021, a Pentagon UAP report referenced 2 East Coast incidents from this period as unexplained. These encounters also prompted Congress to demand answers due to potential airspace dangers. This one was super interesting, as not only do we have footage of the UAPs, this eventually made its way to Congress and even had naval programs changed when it came to incident reporting. The footage is also pretty fun to watch, as the military members capturing the UAPs on footage are funny to listen to, at points cheering when they focused in on one. What do you guys think? This video is a little different. Instead of one incident, we covered a few. Let me know in the comments, and let me know if I missed any other major modern UFO incident with evidence. Are UFOs, UAPs, anything alike real? Let's take a cryptid clue.